Hi, Nikki here from Purple Patch Fishing. Well, last year's Twin Rivers Classic, I was lucky enough to win this Duff rod. So I've been using it for nearly 12 months and thought I would give you my thoughts on this rod. For those of you who are interested in the specs of the rod, it's the G2 range of rods. Now it's a G2 852. It's 7'1" in length. It's a 2 to 4 kilo rod. It's a 2-piece rod. I'll talk more about that later. And it's a relatively fast tapered rod. So let me run you through the rod from the butt to the tip. Speaking of the butt, relatively short butt, which is fantastic because it doesn't get caught up in my clothes when I'm fishing. The grip I love because it's really quite a narrow grip and it fits my lady hands really nicely, and so I can cast this and hold onto this all day. The grip also has a cutaway, so I can feel all those bites through my hand from the tip of the rod. I matched with a 2000 size reel. I find it really nice and balanced in my hand. Working up, it's got a hook keeper. Fantastic for when you're not actually casting. You can keep those hooks nice and safe. Going through the guides, I feel like the guides are really well matched to this rod. It casts a mile, so I think he's done a really good job with those guides. And it's a 2-piece rod. Now, my rods are all 1-piece, so I wouldn't necessarily buy a 2-piece rod, but having had one and used it, when it loads up, there are no flat spots in it at all, and I think that's a real positive. Also, being a 2-piece rod, you have the added bonus of being able to pull it apart, put it in the back of the car, so whenever you need a fish, it's ready to go. After I won this rod, I actually messaged Steve from Duffrods to find out what application the rod was made for. He has said it is a general purpose rod. So over the last 12 months, I've been throwing all sorts of different lures, lots of different applications. So I'll run you through those. I really love my hard-bodied fishing. I love throwing little jerk baits like the Twitch 40 or the Twitch 50. This rod casts those light lures beautifully. It's stiff enough in the tip to work those jerk baits really well. So I'm working the tip of the rod and it really gets those jerk baits moving beautifully. When you hook up, I have really found that it doesn't pull the hooks of those trebles. So it's got enough give in it so it doesn't pull those hooks. So let's talk about crankbaits, such as the Fat 37. I've used this rod for using the crankbaits over the flats and, you know, not a problem. Having said that, in a tournament situation, I would probably use one of my other rods that is more suited to that application, something that's a little bit more medium tapered. Let's talk vibes. Interesting story. Last year at the Twin Rivers Classic, the fish that I caught that won me this rod was actually on a vibe. So I have been using this for vibing. I find when I'm working those lures, it works quite well, although I think it's almost just a little bit too soft in the tip for me. I've got other rods that are a lot stiffer, and I think I prefer those, but having said that, you can still use this for vibes. My favourite application with this rod is soft plastics fishing. I can cast those really lightly weighted soft plastics a mile because of the great guide system. Because of the sensitivity of the rod, I can feel everything that's going on with that lure as I'm working it. And when I feel that bite, I can load up. It's got the stiffness in the rod, the strength to load up that fish. It's also, if I happen to load into one of those big Gippsland black brim, I am in control. a few weeks ago, I was absolutely blown away with this rod when I was at Bream River and I hooked into an 80 centimetre flathead. It really, really worked it well. I'm going to cut away now to some footage of that so you can see how good it is. Wow, how was that? This rod really punches above its weight. I hope you found all this information helpful. So would I actually buy one of these rods? Absolutely I would. I would probably make a couple of changes. I would get a one-piece rod. That's just me. The other thing, and probably more importantly, I'd have to get some purple bling. If you're interested in getting a custom rod and you want to find more information about the G2 or any other of the Duff rods, check out their website or get in touch over socials. I'm sure he'll answer any questions that you've got. Well, I'm off to catch myself a fish.